This is the Football Podcast with your hosts, Tyler, Andy, and Boyer.
Welcome back to Mantasy Football Podcast, presented by two of your performance-enhancing dads. What's happening, Stu?
Not much. We're hanging out, enjoying 1 week of football.
That's right. Boyer needed a night off. Got some stuff going on. Boyer, we appreciate you. We'll see you next week. Hopefully you enjoy this. Let us know what you think, because you're not on here. Hey, Andy, real quick before we get started. What kind of bees like milk?
What kind of bees like milk?
What kind of bees make milk? Either way.
What kind of bees make milk? Well, you got your standard sweat bees, which is a different kind of milk.
Or your boobies.
Yeah.
Get it? Boobies.
I like
boobies.
I like a boobies joke.
There's a market for milk around here. So if you need this is my drink of choice tonight for Charlie. Charlie told me that it was gross to just drink milk straight. So here we go. I'll be working on this tonight. So
who thinks it's gross to drink milk? Katie thinks it's gross a half an hour after I drink milk because of what it does to me, but that's different.
All right. Anyway, type of bees that make milk or boobies. Here we go. Moving on. Andy, let's get into football. Great way to start our podcast.
Boyer's not here to keep us in line.
All right. So week 1, we had predictions. Andy's going to tell us how we did. I beat Chris 96 to 91. It was tied going into Monday night, but the Bills defense didn't hit a 0 or negative. So we're good there. Although that game was awful. How did we do on that game?
We all picked you, so we all got it right. We're all awesome.
Jeremy versus Fryer, 96 for Jeremy, 65 for Fryer. Great work, man. At least you weren't last in points, but 65, not great. Andy, who did we pick on that one?
We all picked Jeremy. We're all doing good.
Perfect. The next one, Paul, 68.76. Andy, 69.98. Andy barely squeaks out a win. That might have been the closest game of the week, but we said that like me and Chris might have been in that like not nice close game of the week in like the mid 80s, and here you guys are, the not nice close game of the week at 68 and 69.
Yeah, to be fair, only 3 guys on your team did anything this week, but but that was enough. I mean, they did very goodly, so
that's all you need.
Yeah, I ended up squeaking out the win with Burrow shit in the bed and my two Eagles players practically goose egging me. So I'll take a W. Yeah. But I was the only one that picked me, and you two picked Paul. So suck it.
Damn it, Paul. All right. So Cowboys D take Mahomes, Walker's new team name.
That is a mouthful if ever there was a boobies joke.
Walker came in with 109, high score of the week, beating Boyer at 60, the low score of the week. Boyer did pay Walker his $5, so good work on that, Boyer. Walker, congrats on being $5 richer this week. Cowboys defense did everything they needed to pretty much take down Boyer alone.
Yeah, so. Cowboys defense plus Jake Elliott was like 56, almost 57 points, and Boyer only put up 60. So, yeah.
So that was good. Good.
Yeah. Boyer picked himself, which was not wise. Ty and I knew that Walker was going to win this game, so that's how that shook out.
All right. The next matchup, Smokin' Jay Colin versus the tightest ends. Colin beat Robbie 94 to 76. Also not a super close matchup. What were the predictions on this one?
Everybody picked Colin. Everybody was right.
Sounds about right. And in our last matchup, Charlie with 82 takes down the duo at 70.
Everybody picked Charlie. Everybody was right. So for those counting at home, I went 6 for 6, Ty 5, and Boyer 4. Boyer's in last in the pick'em, which is maybe the first time ever.
Not last.
Yeah. So my plan is I'm gonna nail it 6 for 6 again this week, and then I'm gonna start taking money from people to pick their team in week 3, and that's my like side hustle plan.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, even just $1 a game all year, hell, rack up
Right.
50, $60. I mean, what is that? Why not?
Yeah.
We can
Gotta
do this
get it
for
where I
other
can.
leagues. We can do this for other leagues. You got other leagues you need us to predict? Mostly Andy, because clearly he got them all right and I didn't. So, all right. So, Andy pulled some trivia here for us. So we're going to go ahead and do a couple trivia questions. And then after that, we will hit this week's matchup start sit type decision. So, Andy, trivia.
All right, let's get into it. Oddly, no wide receiver trivia this week, just quarterbacks, running backs, and tight ends because I pulled out the things that I found to be interesting. Starting with Ty, which 2 quarterbacks led their team in rush attempts this week?
And rush attempts?
Rush attempts, not yards, attempts.
Does Justin Field running for his life count as rush attempts?
Maybe he had 9 of them.
Because that happens. I don't even have a good guess on this. I could not tell you who had the most rush attempts this week.
So I'll tell you, Dan Jones led all quarterbacks with 13 rush attempts. Saquon
He
only had
also
12.
was running for his life.
He was, and they weren't intentionally running the ball very often. So Dan Jones led quarterback rush attempts. Next after Dan Jones was Anthony Richardson had 10 rush attempts, but Deion Jackson had 12. So he did not lead his team. The other guy to lead his team in rush attempts, Justin Fields tied with Khalil Herbert with 9 attempts on the day because the Bears spread it around so much. So
yeah,
thought that was interesting.
They got Roshan in and Herbert, and so and then Fields just runs for his life because he doesn't have time to do crap else. So
right.
That's fun. Yeah, I did not check my stats on rush attempts for quarterbacks this week. My bad. I will.
I try to get the ones that I don't think you're going to know going in.
That's fair.
So we'll move on.
Wide receiver Puka Nacua, number 1.
He had 15 targets, as did Tyreek Hill. Didn't ask that question. All right, another quarterback question. Everybody knows that Tua's leading the league in passing yards with 466. Had a hell of a game. To get to that 466 passing yards, Tua had 45 attempts. Can you name either of the 2 quarterbacks that attempted more passes than Tua last week?
$45 attempts.
Yep. One individual had 54 and one individual had 46.
I'm going to say Matt Stafford had more. I don't know if that's true. And then there's one other.
Stat Mafford had 38 attempts.
No good. And Jordan Love.
Oh, swinging a big miss, Ty. So Jordan Love is actually my tie-in stat here. All right, I'll tell you the answer, and then I'll add a tidbit about Jordan Love. So the answer is Mac Jones had 54 attempts, and on those 54 attempts, put up 316 yards, which isn't terrible. It's not great, but the other feller that had more attempts than Tua, who, mind you, had 466 yards,
Jimmy Garoppolo.
Kenny Pickett had 46 pass attempts, one more than
That makes
Tua.
sense. That makes sense because Najee touched the ball twice.
He had 232 yards, which is almost exactly half of what Tua did on one more attempt. For reference, Jordan Love had 245, I think, passing yards. Yeah, 245. Only had 15 completions. One of those was a 50-something yarder to Aaron Jones. But yeah,
One
only had
one of
15
those
completions on the day.
two of those were like, let me turn around and just throw this thing downfield blindly, knowing that my receiver's there and the Bears are bad. That's like the third time I've said the Bears are bad. So
That's enough. I mean, I feel like we all knew that already.
my bad.
No, you're good. All right.
Those
Away from
guys are good
quarterbacks.
though. Those guys are good.
Right. All right. Uh, I'm going to see if you can get both of these, because one of
Probably
them's
not.
easier than the other. Which two running backs lead the league in carries after week 1? If it's helpful to you, the number is 22 carries. You ought to know one of them.
Well, I was debating on McCaffrey or Chubb, and it might be both. I'm gonna go with both McCaffrey and Chubb.
All right, that's a fair guess. McCaffrey did have 22 attempts. I'm
Right.
scrambling to see how many attempts Chubb had, but the other feller that had 22 attempts, Chubb had 18. Cam Akers producing
And
a
they were not
big
good
old
attempts.
29 yards on 22 attempts. Led the league. He led the league, guys.
Very different yardage from McCaffrey being over 100 easily.
152 out of McCaffrey. Yeah,
Well, he had a
Cam Akers with
62
a
yard.
1.3 yard average.
McCaffrey had a 62-yard touchdown too, which helped.
That does help. The only other person
I watched that game. I knew that stat from McCaffrey.
The only other guy with more than 20 carries in the league, David Montgomery, had 21.
I don't imagine that continues, but
I mean, maybe.
see. We'll see how much I like him this week.
It was
Go
certainly
on.
working.
Yeah.
All right. Which running backs lead the league in targets with 7? There's 2.
Lead the league in targets with 7.
Lead the league in targets with 7.
Aaron Jones.
Ooh, good guess, but no.
I should say McCaffrey, but that seems too obvious.
Jones only had 4 targets, only had 2 catches, but did get 86 yards and a touchdown, mostly because of that really
Right.
long.
Targets. Kyron Williams.
Ooh, Kyron Williams is another interesting guess.
He took over about half that game from Akers, but he didn't run a lot, so I didn't know if he got dump offs or not.
No, he did run a fair bit. 2 targets and 2 receiving yards on no catches for Kyron Williams. Those numbers don't add up. But that's what Yahoo says. Kyron Williams did have 15 carries. They pounded the ball.
That's fair.
So the 2 guys that led the league with 7 targets, Roshan Johnson, in almost exclusively in garbage time, had 7 targets, 6 catches, only 35 yards. Even less productive than that, though, Ezekiel Elliott, 7 targets, 5 catches, 14 yards.
That guy's old.
I did not expect to see his name at the top of this list when I went looking for interesting shit.
Right. Yeah, this week was a weird week of football. So
yeah. Oh shit, my headphones are telling me that my battery's low. Well, we're gonna have to make that work. All right. Last bit of trivia. Which tight end leads the league in targets with 10?
I'm gonna be mad at myself for this because I've heard this stat earlier. Durham Smythe.
Smythe did have 7 targets.
I knew he had a good amount, but I can't remember who he 10.
No, that is not the correct answer. Would you like a second shot at it, or you want me to just tell you?
You can just let me know.
All right. It is Sir Zachary Ertz of the Arizona Cardinals. Only 6 catches for only 21 yards, but he had 10 targets to lead the league. Behind him, Hawkinson had 9 targets. Behind him, Logan Thomas had 8 targets. So of the 3 players, 3 tight ends with more than 7 targets, 2 of them sitting on free agency in our league because nobody wants that crap.
Right.
So that's fun. All right, that's all I got.
And then Durham was up there at 7. So
He was also a free agent, if I remember correctly.
I would bet he is.
I will say, Hayden Hurst is still out there on the free agency, and I'm kind of surprised by that.
Yeah,
He also
Robbie,
had
who's your guy?
seven targets, caught 5 for 41 and a touchdown. Seemed to be favorite of Bryce Young, but what are you gonna do?
Yeah, we'll see. All right. So is that it for trivia?
That's all I got. Thanks for
Perfect.
playing.
That was terrible. I did not do well in
Eh,
any categories.
the point is not to do well, Ty. The point is to learn.
I learned lots of stuff.
I got you.
But before we jump into week 2 matchups, we're gonna hit a little pow. What are you drinking? Andy.
I got an Oktoberfest because it's September.
Because it's September, that's right.
What are you drinking?
A Miller Lite.
You mixing that with your milk?
Yeah, well, milk's gone. Milk's all gone.
Hey,
You
you gotta
can't leave milk
alternate.
long. You chug that stuff. Come on.
Nothing I like better to chase a nice cold glass of milk than a Miller Lite. Not a sponsor. Never gonna be a sponsor after this ad read.
Which one, the milk or the Miller Lite?
Both. They're staying far away, I think.
That's fair. All right, so let's jump into week 2 matchups. Some start sits.
I don't know which one comes first, Ty. Whose matchup comes first?
My matchup.
Ah, good call. All right. Ty versus Colin this week. I'll go ahead and break this one down so Ty doesn't have to do it himself.
Okay.
We've got Tua, we've got Dotson, we've got London, Chubb and McCaffrey are studs still. Pat Freiermuth questionable for Monday night. I don't. Maybe limited during week 2 prep. He's got a chest thing.
He got hit real. He got hit real hard, laid out on a ball in the end zone. He should have caught it like a touchdown. Just got laid out.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, on the Monday night game, that's a bit concerning, but you've got Cam Akers currently in the flex. Chiefs kicker, Buffalo defense. Looking at your bench, you picked up Jacoby Myers. I don't think you had him last week, but I think that's a bit of fool's gold, maybe. He did have 10 targets, 9 receptions. I don't think he's catching 2 touchdowns every week, but
no, I think Jimmy
he's
G
the number 2
him.
option.
Right. I think Jimmy G can target him. Devontae Adams takes some stuff away from him, defense wise. You know what? I'm going to give him a shot week 2, see what he is, and then if he's nothing, I get rid of him.
Yeah, that's fair.
I got rid of Cole Kmet, which might also be a bad thing because I might need a tight end. But I'll cross that bridge, tomorrow or Friday when they decide what Freiermuth is doing.
Yeah, that's fair. And Kmet's probably going to be there for you if you need him. So
right.
Or one of the guys who leads the league in targets. Ertz. Yeah, I don't know. All right, I'm going to tell you to put Kadarius Toney in the lineup for a second straight week. I know he left me looking ugly last Thursday, but for what it's worth, even with all of the awful drops in the pick 6 that was 100% on his concrete hands, they kept going back to him. He had a good deep pass that would have put up some big numbers. They gave him the shovel pass in the red zone. Like there was a lot there for him. And Dotson didn't look good. Drake London looked even worse. Drake London had less catches than Desmond Ridder did last week, which is not ideal. I think that's bad. So I am telling you to put Kadarius Toney in. I would not blame you for putting Toney and Myers in and putting Dotson and London on the bench until we see more out of them. But
Denver's not great. I'll be all right there.
I mean, Patrick Surtain's a stud. The rest of them, I don't know, but Terry seems healthy enough. Dotson didn't really flash anything that makes me want to stick him in the lineup. So at least I feel like there's a conversation to be had there. Which way are you leaning?
I'm leaning leaving Watson in London because I don't think it can be worse than last week. But
Probably
also
not.
Kadarius Toney can't be worse than last week either.
Also
So
true. He and London both very, very bad last week for different
the
reasons.
the other guy I would consider, honestly, I'd consider over Jacoby Meyer and probably over Toney would be Nico Collins.
Yeah.
Nico Collins had 11 targets last week for 80 yards.
Yeah, that's not
So
bad either. And Indy's
he's
defense is not great.
right. And clearly he was targeted. He was Brandon Cooks got some, but Nico Collins for 11 targets, 80
Yeah.
yards. I mean, if he can get 80 yards, 90 yards and squeak a touchdown in here or there, that's a safe floor. So I don't think he's going to get there every week, but if he's getting targeted 10 times,
Yeah.
so that's actually the guy on my bench that I'm debating on putting in at this point. And it would that might be over Cam Akers
That too. I mean,
because
how you feel about
he
starting
plays
Cam Akers this
49ers.
week?
Well, he
And
plays the
he
Niners, which
sucks.
makes me nervous.
Yeah. So I guess if it were my team, I would probably take out London and Akers and put in Tony and
Take your pick.
yeah, between Nico and Myers, I'm pretty indifferent there. And I honestly, between those two guys, I'm not against leaving Cam Akers in and hoping for the touchdown, but I don't know
Right.
that I'm doing that. All right, we've talked a lot about your team. You've got two studs and a head case quarterback, and beyond that, it's a lot of hopes and prayers.
You mean quarterback with Tua, right? Yeah, go on.
Yeah, he's very good when he's alive. Um, all right, Colin on the other side has Kirk Cousins playing Philly. He's got Olave, Smith, Eckler, Jacobs, rookie Dalton Kincaid, Jalen Waddle in the flex, Buffalo kicker, Denver defense against Washington's probably a good play this week. He's got Mayer on the bench. I don't think he saw the field last week. Was he hurt? Ran 9 routes in debut. So obviously Kincaid is staying in over Michael Mayer for the foreseeable future since Kincaid actually had 4 targets. Although, Colin, Zach Ertz, he's out there, buddy. I don't see anybody else on Colin's bench that I would even consider putting in. Bateman did not get as many looks as we would have liked. Roshan did all of his work in garbage time, and the Bears are playing Tampa. Jets defense is not against Dallas. I'm not doing that either. So I don't see any lineup decisions for Colin here. Ty, you want to try to talk me into Geno Smith at Detroit instead of Cousins at Philly? I think we're probably going Cousins there.
Yeah, Detroit's defense is solid. Philly's defense is solid. I think you play what has the better weapons with Addison and Jefferson and hope that Cousins is a solid. It's a safer floor for sure.
Yeah.
Maybe Geno has the upside, but I'm going to leave Cousins in. I can't talk you into Geno.
I got to say it. Thursday night game. That change your mind about Cousins at all? National TV.
Nah, he'll be at least a decent floor still. He just won't have the upside.
Fair enough. All right. Ty, I'll start with Boyer here.
Collins, hold on, real quick. Collins' big thing
ahead.
is gonna be Eckler.
Yeah, it's a big. I mean, it's a big hole to fill because if he doesn't,
Waddle is
go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Waddle's dealing with the same oblique injury he dealt with last week. He still played. So Waddle, I don't see being a problem, but Eckler could very well be a problem.
Yeah, and all Colin has is Roshan on the bench right now. He could easily make a move, drop the Jets defense or whatever. I think is probably a stash for next week, but I'm not excited about playing Roshan. And like the way that Eckler was talking, sounds like he's banged up and swollen and like not a minor thing. I'm hoping to play like, hey, this fucking hurts. Right. And especially Josh Kelly looking as good as he did when he came in, which granted he only came in after Eckler had done a lot of damage, but that was a tight game. Clearly it was a problem last week, and clearly Josh Kelly showed that he could do something when he's in the game, which the first 2 or 3 years in the league he had not been able to do. So maybe the Chargers feel better about resting up Eckler in a game against Tennessee that they probably feel okay about, but I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to pick Ty in this one. Ty's got issues at wide receiver and flex. Collins got the Eckler issue, and quarterback and tight end is a little bit weaker, but I'm going to give Ty the edge just because of general health and options on the bench. Boyer also picked you.
Oh, shoot. I'm supposed to pick me.
I mean, you don't have to.
I'm going to take Colin this week. If Eckler sits, I'm taking me because he's got Roshan.
Yeah,
But
that's fair.
If Eckler plays, I'm going to take Colin
Yeah,
because that's
I
a
think
big difference.
for sure. I think even if Eckler plays,
He's still not healthy.
seeing that he's probably not going to be full strength, and seeing that Josh Kelly can take some carries, and like they're not going to have to lean on him.
They're going to
And
throw the ball 40 times anyway.
yeah, that new offense is supposed to be more down the field oriented. So if they have to pass more, they can pass more. I think even if he plays, it's probably a lighter week for him. But I mean, Eckler gets the touchdowns, so there could be points there, even if he doesn't get the bulk of the work. Who knows? But yeah, I am concerned there. I'm also concerned about Kirk Cousins in prime time.
Right. Well, so in theory, it's probably gonna be me taking me, but if Eckler plays and is halfway decent, Colin's got enough upside on his team that he will probably beat me.
Okay,
So
I'm putting Eckler pending. Ty's got Colin. No Eckler. Ty's got Ty. Is that correct?
that's correct.
Alrighty.
All right, so we're gonna jump to Jeremy versus Paul. With Jeremy versus Paul, Jeremy currently is being a dickhead and has all of his bench players on his
I
starting line.
love this, by the way.
We don't know who he's playing. Just strike some fear into your opponent.
I'll do it.
So currently, Justin Herbert, Darren Waller will still be in, and Myers and New York Giants defense are going to be in. On his bench, Tyler Lockett, Stephon Diggs, Amon-Ra St. Brown. His running backs, Javonte Williams and Derrick Henry. Sorry, I had to go work that out. He's got Tajay Spears, he's got Devon A-Chain in his starting lineup, and Kyron Williams, but those will not be there. He's going to start Lockett, Diggs, and Amon-Ra, and he's going to start Henry and Williams, along with Herbert, Waller, and his kicker and defense. Right?
I think so.
I don't think you can talk me into anybody else that's currently in his starting lineup. Kyron Williams, no. Van Jefferson, after Puka and Tutu Atwell did well, Van Jefferson, I didn't see anything out of.
Yeah, I don't think you're putting Kyron Williams in. I felt good about what Kyron Williams did this week, but against the Niners, and not knowing if that's a week one fluke or if that's a for real thing going forward, I will put him on the bench and wait and see for another week.
Yeah. The only other thing is Kendrick Bourne had a lot of targets, had 2 touchdowns, but he's probably the number 1 wide receiver in New England right now. But
they might have to throw to keep up with Miami.
Yeah, but you're not going to start him over Diggs or Amon-Ra. And then Tyler Lockett, my hated arch nemesis, you're probably still starting Lockett over a shot at Bourne.
I was going to ask, do you want to put Michael Thomas in over Tyler Lockett in the flex? Lockett had 2 catches, 4 targets. Michael Thomas had 5 catches on 8 targets.
Maybe.
I think that's the only choice that I'm really feeling on Jeremy's lineup this week is which way to go there.
I think, I mean, and they play Carolina. Carolina's not great.
Yeah, JC Horn is down, which is not nothing.
Right. So I don't know. I'm leaving Lockett in and hoping for the big game because, I mean, Detroit's a decent defense, but Lockett could have a 60-yard touchdown, and that's all you need out of them.
Yeah, fair.
So, all
Very
right,
fair.
shooting over to Paul's side. He's got Deshaun Watson, Justin Jefferson, Devontae Adams, Joe Mixon, Khalil Herbert, David Njoku, Isaiah Pacheco, Moody, Miami's defense. On the bench, Sam Laporta, but you're probably not starting him over Njoku. And then you've got Gabe Davis are my other options here.
Yeah, I don't feel good about Gabe Davis.
I don't either.
You could talk me into Laporta over Njoku pretty easily. Laporta seemed like he was going to be involved quite a bit. As much as I'm not generally on board with rookie tight ends, it seems to be a thing this year, and several of them are actually getting work, and Laporta more than most.
Yeah, I mean, Njoku was 2 receptions on 3 targets. Laporta was 5 for 5.
Right.
So Pittsburgh's defense didn't look great last week. Granted, Seattle's defense didn't look great either, but that was against the run more or less. They just kept running it, and then a couple through the air, but there was not a lot in the middle ground. A lot of it was to Nakua a little bit deeper. So I think I'm going to just stick with Njoku against the Pittsburgh defense and see what happens. But I could definitely see going Laporta. So who do you got in this one? Are you going to give Boyers first?
Yeah, Boyer picked Jeremy. I think Jeremy wins this one pretty comfortably. I don't like Paul's team. Paul's got 2 stud receivers, and that's about it. So, pivoting back real quick to Jeremy's lineup decision, I feel like Michael Thomas has got a bit more of a floor than Tyler Lockett does, and I might want to lock that in the flex to not give points back. Because I do think Jeremy's comfy here.
Yeah,
Who you
I'm
got?
gonna take Jeremy as well.
All right, that's 2 for 2.
All right.
I guess if Eckler's out, we're 2 for 2.
Let's jump to Chris versus the duo.
Chris versus the duo. All right. So Chris has got Trevor Lawrence, Tyreek Hill, Mike Williams, Jahmyr Gibbs. That is so many Jay Williams, Jamal Williams, Luke Musgrave and tight end, James Cook in the flex, Vegas kicker, Pittsburgh defense on the bench, Mostert or Jamal Williams. Mostert questionable with a knee issue. Had only 12 touches for 50 yards, but did have a touchdown on this past Sunday. Jamal had 18 carries against Tennessee's decent run defense. I think going against Carolina, who just got gashed by Atlanta, which Atlanta's very good on the ground. So, that could have been more Atlanta than Carolina, but I think I'm keeping Jamal Williams in.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I like Mostert, but with the knee issue, New England's defense isn't half bad.
Yeah.
And Bill Belichick knows how to scheme it. He's going to scheme it to stop the run. He'll scheme Tyreek, and then hopefully, odds are Waddle goes off this week. But Tyreek will still get his.
Yeah.
But no, I'm keeping Jamal in here.
All right. I don't think there's anything else here. Nobody's playing Richardson over Lawrence this week. So, moving to the duo, they've got Jalen Hurts, Garrett Wilson, Keenan Allen, Tony Pollard, AJ Dillon, Travis Kelce, Christian Watson, Bengals kicker, Saints defense. Deion Jackson projected pretty low this week. Did not do well last week. Justice Hill, maybe if you're not feeling good about AJ Dillon, or if Christian Watson's hurt, but I don't see anybody on their bench that I'm really itching to get in. Samaje Perine did have 78 total yards on 12 touches. So maybe you go that way if you're looking for points here. But anything jump out at you, Ty, for who you want to play at the flex or over AJ Dillon?
No, I mean, you could bank on Justice Hill, but I wouldn't touch that this week. You grabbed him off waivers, see if he's a starter, see if Gus Edwards is a starter. They're supposed to be pulling Melvin Gordon up. I don't think he's going to be a big issue here. But they got 3 backs there, and J.K. Dobbins was a clear lead back to start, went down, and then they kind of split out. Justice Hill had a good game, but I don't know what that's going to be. Lamar will still run. They still are trying to pass the ball.
Yeah.
I'm not putting any Bengals or Baltimore running back in at this point until I see another week of what it is without J.K. Dobbins.
Yep, that's fair. All right, Ty. Boyer picked the duo in this one. I am also going to pick the duo. Kelsey was back at practice, limited today, so feel pretty decent about him playing this week.
Yeah. I'm going to go with the duo as well. I just don't know Gibbs, Musgrave, Cook. I think there's enough question marks on Chris's side that I just don't feel comfortable going that way. Doesn't mean they can't have a good week. I'm just
for
not
sure.
I'm comfortable picking that game.
Yeah. Yep, for sure. I like we talked last week at length about, team breakdowns, but looking at duo's team, Garrett Wilson, Sands, Aaron Rodgers, and then just the issue at RB2 with your Dylan, P. Ryan, maybe Justice Hill, Deion Jackson combination there for your RB2, like some pretty substantial holes on the duo's team, and Hurts and Kelsey can make those problems go away and they can add somebody at some point, but not ideal for the time being. I think this is a vulnerable team, even though they're projected well. So we all picked the duo, but I think that Chris's team showed some fight last week, and there's definitely pieces to like on Chris's team. I'm assuming Gibbs continues to get more work, which could be what helps his team take a step forward.
Yep. So let's go to Walker versus Andy here.
Woot woot.
Should be a good game, I think.
Here's hoping.
Well, we'll see what happens.
Burrow has to play, and so do my Eagles, and then we'll go from there. Baby steps.
So Walker has Patrick Mahomes, AJ Brown, Deebo Samuel, Najee Harris, the other B. Robinson, Brian, St. Robinson for some of you, Hunter Henry, Michael Pittman Jr., Philadelphia kicker, Dallas defense, on the bench, DJ Moore, Brandon Cooks. He's got Dalton Schultz, he's got Zeke, he's got Hubbard, he's got Hunt, but none of those are exciting to me. But honestly, with AJ Brown, Deebo Samuel, and Michael Pittman, DJ Moore and Brandon Cooks are also not exciting to me. So I don't see any lineup decisions here, unless you'd want to say you put in Schultz over Henry, but I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, I don't think I am either. I'm not excited about either, but Henry had a much better week one, and Schultz is banged up on top of it. Yeah, that too.
You take that shot on the touchdown. They're both not exciting, but Hunter Henry is definitely the better option.
And for what it's worth, Mac Jones led the league in pass attempts, and those have to go somewhere. I don't know that he's going to throw 54 times every week, but I'm sure that they don't want CJ Stroud throwing 54 times every week for the Texans. So follow the volume.
All right. So moving over to Andy's team, Joe Burrow, Amari Cooper, Brandon Ayuk, Dameon Pierce, the other B. Robinson, Bijan, Dallas Goedert, Tyler Algier running the two Atlanta back, Young Hoku, Atlanta kicker. It's just an Atlanta stack over here, which you do you. And then Baltimore defense. Luckily, if the kicker makes no difference, he just tacks on points after your running backs get it there. Andy has Cortland Sutton, the infamous Zach Moss that was picked up this week. DeAndre Swift, Elijah Mitchell, Quentin Johnson, Romeo Dubs.
It's tough, right?
Yeah. So the Bijan Tyler Algier stack went really well last week.
Yeah, sure did.
I'm just nervous about it.
Yeah,
but you're not going to start Mitchell. You're not going to start Swift at this point unless Gainwell is 100% out.
Then he has been ruled out.
Has he? Okay.
So I'm
he's considering, but taking it. Yes, you're good. You're good.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. Technical difficulties. So I am considering playing Swift. I feel like the Eagles in general know that that's not how they wanted that game to go and are going to make an effort to make some changes. If Gainwell was still playing and I expected Swift to take a step forward, then that would be one thing. But I think that Swift is in line for a big game after a disappointing week one. But the reason that I will almost certainly leave Algier in is not because he had 21 fantasy points last week and I'm overreacting to week one. It's because he had 18 touches. That's a lot. And if
Desmond Ritter does not throw for volume.
Yeah.
I mean, the same thing we talked about with Drake London on my team, right? Like Kyle Pitts didn't get a lot of targets. London didn't get a lot of targets. Mac Hollins and somebody else might have been their leading receivers in Atlanta this last week.
It wasn't good.
No.
So I'm leaning that way just because I think that's where the volume is. Even though I like Swift this week, I also like Zach Moss against the Texans this week very much. If my roster were set up differently, like I thought the duo was silly for not picking up Zach Moss. I feel like, and I said it last week, that Breyer should have picked him up. I was surprised that I got him post fab bids going through because I feel like Zach Moss is the number one in Indy until Taylor comes back. So we'll see this week if I'm right or not. I don't have to start him, so not an issue, but I do believe that he is that guy.
Yeah, I would agree. I think at some point Zach Moss looks bad. They sign somebody else. That's and who the hell knows what happens with Taylor, but I think they would bring in somebody if Moss starts to look bad. And at that point, maybe that guy's the big waiver claim. I don't know.
Yeah.
But with that, I'm gonna actually go Walker for the win on this one. I'm gonna guess Andy's taking himself.
I've been wrestling with this one. I am concerned about the Dallas defense stupidly because Zach Wilson is Zach Wilson and turnovers abound when he plays a decent defense, which is a bummer, but what are you going to do? I'm not worried about Walker's running backs or tight end in the slightest. Obviously Mahomes and his receivers are all pretty solid, but as much as Yahoo and most other people don't like my team, I'm very happy with what I've got and very comfortable to be rolling it out every week. I think it's going to come down to what Burrow's able to do against the Ravens, who he has not historically had much success against. One of the reasons that I didn't drop the Ravens defense to pick up somebody like the Browns or somebody off waivers this week. So I'm gonna go with Walker, but I think I've got a good shot in this one.
No, I agree. This is gonna be a great matchup. Part of me is concerned. Honestly, Cooper was okay last week. Pittsburgh defense got torched, so whatever. Yeah. Brandon Ayuk did really well, but that could go to Kittle, that could go to Debo. It could just, any week, Brandon Ayuk could go for 20, he could go for 5 or 6.
Yeah, I'm hoping that he's the guy that Purdy looks to. He had eight targets, 8 catches, 8 first downs.
Right.
They count touchdowns as first downs in the box score. I don't know why, but I mean, every time he caught the ball, it moved the chains. Your quarterback gets used to that, he's going to look your way. So I feel good.
Yeah. What did Boyer take?
Boyer took Walker.
All right, so we're across the board on Walker.
Yep, we're 4 for 4 as long as Eckler sits.
All right, you want to go to Boyer versus Robbie then?
Sure. All right, Boyer is dealing with a very disappointing Josh Allen right now, who should rebound against the Raiders, but we'll see. T. Higgins, Mike Evans, Breece Hall, Gainwell is out this week, so make sure you fix that before tomorrow, bud. Evan Ingram in the tight end, Miles Sanders in the flex, Tucker and the Niners defense. Boyer's got Godwin and Gibson on the bench, Dalvin Cook on the bench. Rashee Rice had a nice game. I don't think you're trying to get him in your lineup, though. Boyer picked up Rashid Shaheed, and I don't think he's playing him either. I don't know. Dalvin Cook had 16 touches and had 59 yards against a pretty good Bills defense. So I don't know that you're going to expect any more than that against the Cowboys. So I'm probably looking past him to Godwin against the Bears, move Sanders up and get Gainwell out. Does that feel right to you?
Yeah, that's what I'd do.
Double dip the Bucks receivers against the Bears doesn't sound like a bad plan.
The Bucks running game isn't great either, so Baker is going to throw.
Yeah.
I would double up on that this week at least.
Yep. Can't blame him. All right, let's look at Robbie. Yeah, Jordan Love did it very efficiently. All right, moving to Robbie. He's got Dak, Hopkins, McLaurin, Saquon, Aaron Jones, Hawkinson, James Conner, Dallas kicker, and Cleveland defense on the bench. Kittle or Hawkinson. I think probably Hawkinson against the Eagles in a shootout versus Kittle against the Rams. Still not sure about this roster construction, but who am I to judge? Yeah, I mean, aside from like if Jones or Connor sits, but I know Aaron Jones had that hamstring that he pulled kind of at the end of the game, and he said after the game that, you know, if it was a closer game, he would have kept playing. He didn't practice today, but it doesn't sound super concerning. So I feel okay about Aaron Jones. James Conner has a calf injury, but was limited today. Usually when you're limited on Wednesday, you're good to go for the game. So aside from that tight end decision, which I don't think I'm making a move, you see anything you want to do on Robbie's side?
I'm kind of nervous about Hopkins. Hopkins has an ankle injury.
Yeah.
But he doesn't even, I wouldn't play Christian Kirk. Jerry Judy's probably not back.
And the Chargers just got torched by Tua. I mean, I don't think that Tannehill's going to throw 460 yards, but Hopkins had 13 targets. And if you do that against a bad defense instead of a good one, that's a lot of production.
Yeah. Ankle injuries. Well, I will see what happens, but he doesn't have options after that. So if you got to play somebody off your bench, I think it is Kittle. So if you have to move Aaron Jones, you're pulling Connor up and you're putting double tight end in, which I don't like.
Yeah, but that probably is his best option.
And then if Hopkins doesn't play, I think you're scouring a waiver because I don't know that I'm starting MVS. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't feel like MVS is rosterable.
I think he's a shot with Kansas. He's a deep shot with Kansas City, and he's taking a shot on touchdowns every week. I can't do it.
You got to hope that the week you need him is also the week that he goes off 3 catches for 95 yards and 2 touchdowns. Like that's a hope and a prayer.
So I don't like where Robbie's at this week. So I will take that right into I've got Boyer for the win on this one.
Yeah,
I'm not high on Boyer either, but
yeah. That's my problem is I'm a bit bummed on Boyer's side of things too. I do think that I lean Boyer, but this could be an Andy Paul matchup this week where it's just kind of a dud. Yeah, but I'll go Boyer. I don't feel confident about it. Boyer also picked himself.
All right. Well, then I will run us to Charlie versus Fryer. Charlie has Justin Fields, Jamar Chase, Metcalf, Etienne, David Montgomery, Kyle Pitts, Calvin Ridley, New Orleans kicker, Detroit defense. And then on the bench, he's sitting with Alexander Madison, Rashad White. Nobody else on the bench is exciting to me here.
Fuck Charlie for having 2 running backs projected over 9 points on his bench. It's fantastic.
And the problem is, do you put them in over David Montgomery? Alexander Madison, I would say that's your shot. And I think I'm putting Madison in over Montgomery. And I know you're probably going to disagree with me on that. But I think I'm going to take the shot on Minnesota versus Philly being a points game, and Madison's going to have to get it. Granted, Philly's defense is better than Seattle, and Seattle just got beat up by the Rams run game. So maybe Montgomery is the play, but I think I personally am putting Madison in.
Yeah, so I'm going to start by trying to make Charlie feel better, because whatever happens, he's probably going to be kicking himself because he's going to have points on his bench. Charlie, if you got points on your bench, it means they're not in other people's lineups. That's a good problem to have. I had that problem last week, and you know what? I'm just happy to have him on my team. I really want to get Rashad White in against the Bears. Aaron Jones just completely embarrassed us on the ground and through the air, and Rashad White can do the same. The Bears defense is very bad. I don't know who to take out to do that. I'm looking at who he's got slotted in his starting lineup right now. Is it Metcalf? Is it Calvin Ridley against the Chiefs in a game that they're probably going to have to throw? I don't feel good about taking either of those guys out. Is it take Etienne out against the Chiefs? Probably not, because he's your best running back. Is it Montgomery after he just had 21 carries and is going up against the Seahawks defense that just gave up 3 rushing touchdowns to the Rams? I don't know who I'm taking out. I want to get Rashad White in here. I don't know who to pull. I think I'm leaving it. And you just are going to have points on your bench, and you got to be comfy with that. Like, if Rashad White goes for 20 against the Bears, he didn't score them against you, and you've got a piece still. That's not bad, but it's a bummer.
And there are guys that are looking for running back still possibly too. So
yeah, but I don't feel like Charlie is gonna throw a guy for draft cash, because I mean, like I said, like, you don't want to help out your competition this early.
Well, he could go get somebody like a Hawkinson or a Kittle and figure out that with somebody that might need a running back that's sitting a good tight end on his bench.
Fair. That probably makes sense, but
once again, helping him, but also if you could get a Hawk or a Kittle and put that in over Pitts,
yeah, that'll help.
I'm trying to move some of those bench running backs to go do that right now.
Right.
So, all right, let's move over to Fryer. Fryer has Lamar Jackson, CeeDee Lamb, Zay Flowers, the one, the only Zay Flowers, tore it up. Kenneth Walker, Ramondre Stevenson, Mark Andrews, Josh Kelly, Dickers, and Philadelphia defense. On his bench, Jordan Addison and Puka Nacua. Fryer was our big winner this week of Josh Kelly and Puka Nacua, spending almost 70 of his 100 at fab.
Mm-hmm.
Both good gets. But I'm not starting Puka Nacua over any of them. Jordan Addison against Philly is enticing to me.
I think I'd rather have Zay Flowers.
CeeDee Lamb and Zay Flowers, I think, have to be in. So the question is
Kelly
Addison over Josh Kelly. But I don't think I could do that right now after his performance last week.
Yeah. So obviously, if Eckler sits, Kelly's a lock in this lineup. If Eckler plays, do you make the switch? Well, you don't get the luxury of that knowledge because Addison plays tomorrow.
Right.
That sucks. So you'd have to pivot to Puka if you wanted to shy away from Kelly, and at that point, I would play Kelly.
Right, because
So-
your other option would be like Sean Tucker, but he had 5 attempts and 2 targets. So you're talking bad about the Bears, but I'm still not starting Sean Tucker ever at this point. So
Agreed.
So yeah, I that's tough because you have to leave Kelly in, but I would love to get Addison into the lineup.
Yeah, I think I'm leaving it as it is, and if you end up having to eat Kelly being in your lineup with Eckler being healthy, that's life.
Yep. If Andrews is out, he's got Jake Ferguson to move to.
Yep.
So Andrews was limited today. I imagine Andrews is trying to play this week, but if not, he's got Ferguson. They both play Sunday morning and an afternoon, so you'll know in the morning if Addison's playing or if Andrew's playing. If not, you're just putting Ferguson in and you're good to go.
Yep.
So then it comes down to who do we like more here?
Well, I'll tell you, Boyer picked Fryer this one, and I'm a little bit surprised by that.
Right,
I don't dislike Fryer's team.
Charlie was going to go 13-0.
I don't know that Charlie's that good, but I mean, we just talked about the fact that I think Rachaad White's a great play this week, and I think I'm sitting him on the bench on Charlie's team. So I'm going with Charlie. I break the tie for us.
I think I'm. This is gonna be a good damn matchup.
It should be.
I think the Jets are gonna be able to shut down CeeDee Lamb a little bit, which is gonna help give Charlie the edge. I think that's gonna be part of it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go Charlie, but this should be a damn good matchup this week.
Yeah, I'm excited for this one.
So 2 for Charlie, 1 for Fryer. And was that the only one we split on?
Yeah, unless Eckler plays and you pick Colin over you.
All right. So there's your start sit for the week. Who's going to win? Andy, I believe you have another joke to end the podcast with, correct?
You have a joke to end the podcast with, and I will, full disclosure, let you people know that I stole this from the Kelsey Brothers podcast. So if any of you are avid listeners there, this may sound familiar, but I got a chuckle out of it and figured I would share it with everybody. So there's these 3 brothers who were sitting around drinking beers one day. You've got Alan, you've got Ben, and you've got Christopher. And a few beers in, Alan telling his brothers, I think I might be the fastest man in the world. And they're like, I mean, you're pretty fast, but Alan, I think you should, if you think that, then why don't we'll time you doing a 40-yard dash, what have you, we'll film it and fill out all the paperwork. We'll send it into Guinness Book of World Records, see what they have to say. He's like, all right, let's do that. So he goes, he runs, they film it, they fill out the paperwork, they send it in, go back to drinking. Well, the second brother is like, I'm pretty tall. I think I might be the tallest man in the world. His brother's like, well, we know what to do. We'll measure you. We'll take some pictures. We'll send it in to Guinness Book of World Records, fill out the paperwork. They mail it in. 2 for 2. Let's find out what happens. Wait to hear back. And the youngest brother, not wanting to be left out, Christopher says, I wasn't gifted like you boys, but I do think I might be able to capture a world record of my own. I think I have the smallest penis in the world. They're like, all right, well, whip out the microscope, we'll take some measurements and fill out the paperwork, send it in to Guinness Book of World Records. Now it's a week later, they're sitting around there drinking again. Mailman comes, 3 letters in the mail from Guinness Book of World Records. Well, Alan grabs his, opens it, looks. He says, yes, wouldn't you know it? Fastest man in the world. Fucking told you. And second brother opens his letter, reads it. I knew it. Tallest man in the world, just like I said. I look over at Christopher and say, well, he opens his letter. He goes, who the fuck is Jeremy Reed?
That's right. Got him. Way to go, Jeremy. Way to be in the record book. No, it's good. It's good.
It made me laugh.
Which one of the Kelsey brothers was the one that they got poked at?
So apparently this is a joke that got told while they were doing some light rookie hazing. He said that they pivoted from making them sing during lunch to just any talent show. He said that like a rookie fullback got up and told the coach and did Coach Doug Peterson. I was like, that's pretty funny that the Rook poked fun at the head coach.
That's fair. That's nice. Glad the Kelseys are getting on board. I was hoping they were going to make fun of one or the other, but
yeah,
clearly I'm not an avid Kelsey podcaster. But all right. Well, with that, we are done with this podcast. So listen to whoever you want now. But before you do that, hit the like, hit the bell, hit subscribe, comment about how much we suck at this whole podcasting thing. Whatever you got to do. Yeah, dance with the fingers. All right. On that, we're out. Have a great week of football. We'll see you.